we are up to chapter 29, verse 9. Odenu medaber imam. So Yaakov was still speaking with the shepherds from this flock. The Rachel ba'a matzon. And Rachel was coming with the sheep, asher avia, that belonged to her father, Kiro Ahi, because she was a shepherdess. Verse 10. Vayhi kasher ra'a Yaakov es Rachel bas Lavan achimo. When Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Lavan, who was the brother of his mother, the Estzon Lavan achimo, and the shepherd of Lavan, who was the brother, not the shepherd, the flock of Lavan, who was the brother of his mother, Vayigash Yaakov, and Yaakov came close. Oh, you maybe want to bring some chumashim, Jeff. I forgot to bring, I put the chumashim over there. Vayigash Yaakov, Vayagas Evan Malpia Bear. And Yaakov came close and he removed the stone from the mouth of the well. Vayash Ketzon Lavan Achimo, and he watered the flock of Lavan, his mother's brother. So what does it mean with Rashi? What does Rashi say here? Vayigash Yaakov Vayagel. Yaakov came close and he removed the stone. Ka'adam shemavira sepakak me'alpi tzilochas. Like a person who removes a cork from the top of a flask. It's to teach us that, to let us know that Yaakov was very strong. Yaakov was very strong. So he removed the whole stone by himself. The question I was always thinking about was Yaakov correct for doing this? They had the stone there for a reason, that it was covered up. They didn't want people removing it. That wasn't proper. I don't know, Rashi doesn't address that point. But the point is that they didn't want people just removing the stone on their own. That's the reason why it was so big. Anyway, that's just something I'm wondering.
No, well, it wasn't there the previous generation. So he was basically saying to them that they're so self-centered that they shouldn't have it anymore. Like, you know,
Yaakov he was trying to impress Rachel, so he removed the stone off the well so she could get the water right away. But maybe he shouldn't have done that, because now she was getting the water before everybody had. Usually they had a deal that you have to wait for everybody to get the water. They didn't want people misusing the well.
So Rashi has no comment why the Torah repeats 3 times that his mother was Lavan's brother.
Rashi so far has not said why that's repeated. Rashi has not pointed out. Yeah, he hasn't. Rashi has not said anything about that so far. Vayev. So pasuk Yud Aleph. Vayishak Yaakov Rachel. Yaakov kissed Rachel. Vayisas kol Vayev, and he lifts up his voice and he cried. Vayev, he cried. Rashi says, why is Yaakov crying? Yaakov anticipated through Ruach HaKodesh. Yaakov anticipated Yaakov anticipated that Rachel was not going to be buried with him. So therefore he's crying. So Rashi is explaining why Yaakov was crying, because he has to be sad. Why is he crying? So Rashi tells us that he's crying because she's not going to be buried with him. One of the things about Rashi that's to me, one of the things about Yaakov that's to me so poignant is that Yaakov is here. We have chumashim on the table, by the way. Dan, we have chumashim on the table if you want. Right here, by the way. So one of the things that's so poignant is that Yaakov, everything with Yaakov is, even while he's in his moments of glory, everything's anticipating the future struggles that Yaakov is going to go through. It's always anticipatory of the future struggles that Yaakov is going to go through. So, Davar Acher, alternatively, why is Yaakov crying? Because he came with empty hands. He said, Amar Eliezer Eved Avi Abba Hayu. Excuse me. He said, Eliezer Eved Avi Abba. Eliezer was the servant of my grandfather. Hayu biyadav nizamim. When he came to see Lavan, he saw Lavan because he saw Betuel and Lavan. So he came to Lavan. When did he come? He brought with him nizamim, nose rings, tzmidim, bracelets, umigdanot. He brought with him the delicacies from the land of Israel. But I have nothing in my possession. Because Eliphaz, the son of Esav, why does Yaakov have no money? Because Eliphaz, the son of Esav, was running after Yaakov to kill him as a result of his father Esav commanding Eliphaz to kill Yaakov. V'isigo, he overtook Yaakov. But Eliphaz, he was the son of Esav, but he had grown up in the bosom of Isaac. He couldn't go through with it. So Eliphaz said, what am I going to do to the command of my father? My father told me to kill Yaakov, and I need to do something. So Yaakov says, take whatever I have in my possession. And a poor person is considered like he is dead. Now we're going to get to this in Gemara and Nedarim. Nedarim Samach Daled lists 4 people who are considered like they're dead, and it can be a very painful Gemara to people. But one of those people is somebody who is poor. Somebody who is poor. We studied today. We looked at the Chasam Sofer. Chasam Sofer is commenting on Rashi. The Chasam Sofer comments on this Rashi. He says, why did Yaakov give Eliphaz all of his money? Because, remember why? We said because it was Friday afternoon and he needed to get rid of the money before Shabbos. That's what he said. He wanted to give it to Eliphaz, wasn't Jewish, so he wanted to give him his money. He proves it was Friday afternoon because Yaakov daven Mariv while it was still daytime. Vayifka b'makom vayolen sham. It's the first person ever to daven Mariv, daven while it was still daytime. So that proves you could daven Mariv while it's still daytime. At least that's what the Chasam Sofer says. He says on Friday nights. And that was what the Chasam Sofer said. Probably people are maybe giving him a hard time. Why are you davening Mariv so early? So he gave a whole drasha that Yaakov was the first one to daven Mariv while it's still daytime.
What about Saturday night?
So the Gemara in Brachos says you could daven Mariv after Plaga Mincha. But the Chasam Sofer in his commentary on this proves says, it's Friday night. Friday night people did it. I guess there's always been a tradition of doing it on Friday night. Even if those were strict, it always wait till nightfall. So, okay. Vayaged. The next pasuk. Vayaged Yaakov Rachel.
I was assuming when I read this,
Yeah.
that he was weeping out of joy. That I have, like tears of joy.
But commentaries on Rashi say that the word bechia, to cry, is not expression of joy. There's sometimes an expression of joy, but bechia, bocheh, is always an expression of sadness. So therefore, we can't use the tears of joy in this context. Ani bochia.
Maybe he knew she was gonna die in childbirth.
Well, so he said he anticipates that he's anticipating that he's not going to be buried with her. That's why he's crying. That's what Rashi says. He's anticipating he's not going to be buried with her. So then the pasuk says, "Vayaga Yaakov Rachel." Yaakov said to Rachel, "Ki achi aviyahu." Yaakov says to Rachel, "Listen, I am the brother of your father. V'chi ben Rivkahu. I'm the son of Rivka." V'toras v'tagid lavia. She ran and told her father. Rashi says, "Ki achi aviyahu" doesn't mean he's her father's brother. Oh, it's here. It's Seth. Do you mind giving a chumash to Steve? Here, we have this one right there. So he says, Ki achi aviyahu doesn't mean her father's brother. It means karov aviyah. it means a relative of her father. Like he says, we are brothers, like it says earlier in Genesis. Where does it say it earlier in Bereshit? Anashim achim anachnu, that
Avram and
it's
Lot.
Avram and Lot. It says in the pasuk, Vayomer Avram and Lot. He says, don't let that. That's not fighting. Anashim achim anachnu. How's the soup, Jeff? Good. If anybody wants some hot soup, it's in the kitchen. Help yourself to some hot soup and make you feel better on a nice cold and fall day. Yeah.
Lentils for a little while still.
So the pasuk says, Midrasha. What does the Midrash tell us? This maybe can address the question that my father was asking before. He says, why does it keep mentioning it? If Lavan wants to come at me with deception, I know how to be his brother in deception. I can be a street fighter like that. But if he's a good guy, Gamani ben Rivka, Achoso Hakshera. I am also the son of Rivka, who was Achoso Hakshera. She was his sister who was good. She was kosher. So therefore,
Although she knew from deception also.
Yeah.
well, there was that one incident, but other than that, there is not.
And Lavan wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah. What's the question?
It's a Jacob sold Rachel, but he was her father's brother. That makes him the uncle.
Yeah, but I just said, Rashi says, Achi Aviyahu does not mean my father's brother. It means, Rashi says, it means Karov Aviyah, it means a relative. I'm a relative of your father. How does Steinsaltz translate it? Rabbi Steinsaltz, a Bosmer?
Jacob said that he was his father's brother.
And he doesn't have anything
He does
that,
say a close relative.
a close relative.
Close relative.
Yeah.
is the parenthetic.
Yeah. It does. It's obviously not his father's brother. We know Yaakov's brothers are Esau, so it's obviously just referring to a relative. Anyway, verse 13. She ran and she told her father, Mesa. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so we're up to the Rashi says, she told her father, her mother had died. Where's the mother? That's the question. Where's the mother? Because when Rivka decided to go with Yitzhak, the mother was speaking. In this case, where's the mother? So Rashi has to say the mother is dead. Okay. Verse, yes, Mr. Sheckman, Jerry.
Do we know the mother's name?
Well, I would say I don't know the mother's name. Nothing comes to mind right now, but I'm sure that I should know it. So let's do some research. I'm probably missing an open verse, but right now nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
Vayaratz. So verse 13, Vayikeshmo Lavan as Shema Yaakov ben Achos. So when Lavan heard the news of Yaakov ben, the son of his sister, Vayaratz Lakraso, he ran out to greet him, Vayachabeklo, and he embraced him, Vayanashiko, and he kissed him, Vayavielu Abeso, and he brought him to his household. And he told Lavan all of these words. Okay, what does this mean? Rashi says that Lavan ran to him. Rashi's not a fan of Lavan. Why should he be? So he says, why is he running? Because Savar Mammon Huton. He thought Yaakov was carrying money. Share Eved Abayis. Because when the servant of Abraham came, he came with 10 camels filled with the best parts of Israel. So he thought for sure when the master comes, he's going to bring money. Yes, Jerry.
Did gosh, I'm sorry. The thought left me. I'll think about it and
When it comes back, you'll come back to us and raise your hand again. Okay. Yes, sir. Jeff.
I'm just commenting, of course, earlier it said Jacob ran to meet Laban, to embrace him. And as I understand, I guess it's not Rashi. That's because he was feeling him up and down.
That's what we just said. That's what we just said right this second. That Lavan ran to embrace him because he thought he had money. Vayaretz Lakraso. Lavan ran to greet him because he thought that Yaakov was having money. That's why he ran to greet him. That
Although it doesn't say it's interpreting embrace.
it says, no, that's the next Rashi. But this Rashi says that we just read, he ran to Yaakov because he thought he must have money.
Right.
Yes, Jerry.
yes, it says Jacob told Laban all that had happened. Do you think Jacob confessed that he fooled his brother and was in Laban's house because he was running away and afraid of his life?
That's an excellent question. But it's we'll see what Rashi says, and we'll discuss it in just one moment. We'll get up to that Rashi.
Okay.
But first it says Vayichabeklo. Lavan embraced him. Kishelo ra imo kum. When he saw that Yaakov didn't have any money with him, he says, "Let me embrace him." Amar Shema Zehuvim Hevi Vinam Becheko. He says maybe he brought some gold and they're in his bosom. Maybe he hid them in his clothing. And he kissed Yaakov. Amar Shema Margilios Hevi Vehim Befiv. He said maybe he brought pearls and they're in his mouth.
Testing,
I'm sorry, Jerry. What'd you say?
testing out his prey.
He's looking for it. Vayisaper Lavan. And then Yaakov told Lavan everything that had happened. So what did he tell Lavan? That's what Jerry wanted to know. What did he tell Lavan? So he told him, he said, listen, I only came because I was under duress from my brother and he took all my money. So he didn't, it makes it sound from Rashi, he didn't tell him the whole story about why he's under duress from his brother. But I'm sure if somebody says, I ran here because my brother's trying to kill me, the next question is why? So, but
Because I cheated.
okay, so the Rashi says, verse 14, Vayomer lo Lavan, and Yaakov and Lavan, Vayomer lo Lavan, Lavan said to him, Ach atzmi u'visari ata. Listen, you're my flesh and blood. You're my bones and flesh. Vayeshev imo chodesh yamim. And he said, and Yaakov stayed with him chodesh yamim. Earlier, we'd seen Rashi say that Yamim means not days, but a period of time. So he stayed with him a period of time. Well, let's see what this means here. You're my bones and my flesh. He says, listen, now since you have no money, since you have no money, I've got no reason to bring you to my home. But we're relatives. I'll take care of you for a month. And that's what he did. This was also not for free. Yaakov was watching his flock. And then it says, so verse 15, Lavan says to Yaakov, Lavan said to Yaakov, you're my brother. Should you work, even though you're my brother, should you work for me for nothing? Or you are my brother, should you work for me for nothing? Rashi tells us how to read it. He says, tell me what your payment is. Rashi tells us how to read it. Lashon tema, it's an expression of a question. Because you're my brother, should you work for me for nothing? Rashi does not like Lavan. And who does? I mean, Lavan, sometimes there are characters where you could say, like, it's not clear from the text if they're good or bad. And Rashi tells us they're bad. But Lavan's pretty clear from the text. He's no good. He's switched out the wives. So Vavatani, he says, tell me should you work for me for nothing? Kamo vita avdeni. Okay. Okay, we'll skip that Rashi. Lavan shtei banot. Lavan had two daughters. Shema Gedola Leah. The older daughter was Leah. The Shema Katana Rachel. The younger daughter was Rachel. Okay, so what does Rashi say? Nothing. Leah's eyes were rakot. Weak. My mother says weak. They translate here as tender. The Rachel Rachel was beautiful of appearance and a beautiful Toar and Mara. We'll see what Rashi says. So Rashi says Leah's eyes were rakot, weak. Shaita Sfura, Marot Esav. She was under the impression that she was going to end up marrying Esav. She says, I'm the older one. I'm going to marry Esav. Ubocha, she was crying. Shayu Akol Omrim. Everybody was saying, Shnei Banim LeRivka. Rivka's got two daughters, two sons. Shnei Banot LeLavan. And Lavan's got two daughters. Hagadol Gadol, Vakatan Katan. So Esav will marry Leah, and Yaakov will marry Rachel. So that's why she was crying. What the Minchas Yehuda is telling us is why else that Rashi is forced to say this, because why else would the Torah just like gratuitously talk about a part of Leah that's not attractive? The assumption is that Torah is not just going to go around, but I don't know why we're forced to say that. We could say, why did Yaakov love Rachel? Because she was more attractive. That's what it seems to be. Rashi says, Toar, Hutsuras Aparsuf, that's their face. Her face was pretty. Lashon Yitareo, like Yitareo Vasarid. He shaped it with a saw. Mara is Ziv Klastar. It's the appearance of her face, the splendor of her face. So, okay, yes, Jerry, you had a question.
Yes. Oh, yes. How did Laban, since there was no internet and no postal service, how did he know that Isaac had two sons?
Well, first of all, Jerry, you worked in the postal service, right? So you're aware of the postal service. You even before there was the postal service, there was a way of conveying information to people. They even before the United States Postal Service, they would send letters.
Yeah, it was carried by by
Caravans going back and forth the whole time.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so verse 18. Vayahav. This will be the last pasuk for today, probably. Vayahav Yaakov es Rachel vayomer evadcha sheva shanim berachel b'fakana. And Yaakov loved Rachel, and he said, "I will serve you for 7 years. I work for you for 7 years in order to marry your daughter Rachel, the younger one." Rashi says, "Evadcha sheva shanim." I work for you for 7 years. Hem yamim achadim. These are the few days she'amar lo imo that his mother mentioned when she said to him, "V'yashavta imo yamim achadim." You shall live with him for a few days. So this was the 7 years his mother was referring to. Yaakov said, "I'm going to work for you for 7 years in order to marry Rachel, your younger daughter." Rashi tells us, why does he need to say Rachel, your daughter, your younger one? Yaakov knew Laban was a trickster. Amaro, he said, he said, I want to work for Rachel. Shema Tomar, Rachel, maybe you're going to give me another girl named Rachel. No good. Tamalomar, Bitcha, your daughter. Shema Tomar, Shema. Maybe you'll say, I'll change Leah's name, the Ekrashma Rachel, call Leah Rachel. Tamalomar, Akatana, the younger one. Rafal became low heel. Nothing helped. Jarei Rimo. See, this Rashi's got a beautiful sense of humor with this beautiful Rashi. Very, very sweet Rashi. All right, we'll stop the recording here. And I just want to mention